Hey, bats, kiddos, Joker here, and you're listening to the Pop Culture Podcast.
Nothing between the lines of the page or at a time. Forgiveness is for angels with this angel spell and a line that sin, no second chance or redemption can be found. 'Cause you can't run the devil and the devil is running you down.
All right, guys, welcome into a very special Hell in a Cell predictions panel episode of the BCP. Excited for this new panel. A lot of debuts tonight. But first, we have to welcome in the goodest sister herself. You know her from Kimmy Talks Wrestling, RDP Promotions, Wrestling with Questions, thepopbreak.com. I'm sure I missed a lot more, but she's killing it right now. Had some great interviews coming out this week. Welcome in the goodest sister, Miss Kimmy. So cool. Kimmy, welcome in. What up? How are you? Round of applause.
I'm really good. I'm wearing the wrong shirt because I'm wearing an AEW shirt and we're protecting WWE. But who cares? I'm really excited to be talking some Hell in a Cell with a bunch of new people.
That's right. A lot of long overdue debuts, and we want some new faces here. But Kimmy has like a streak going of being on like every panel and killing it right now. So thank you for reminding me again, Kimmy, that there was a pay-per-view this week. So thank you for keeping me in line as always. Good as sister. And so nice to finally meet you in person on Sunday. That was great. And talking about, we're talking about the shirts, the AEW, the WWE shirts. I got to talk about this guy wearing the BCP Shameless Promo shirts, available now on tpublic.com. Shameless Promo. Please welcome into the show from the Closet Champion podcast, our good friend, Mr. Mike Mueller. Mike, welcome in, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Got you, bro. Did I say the last name correctly?
Mueller, yes. Yeah.
Bueller.
Bueller, but just with an M.
Mueller.
So that's the way it goes. And I want to say, I think I've associated Kimmy with this. I'm probably going to date myself by saying this, but the old Hollywood squares, to me, Kimmy now on these panels is like the center square, where if you don't have that, the rest of it just kind of falls apart. So
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's Kimmy's getting emotional already. Kimmy's been killing it. She is definitely the center square, and that is also going into her intro. They're here for Kimmy, not for me. Let's be honest. But everyone's really tuning in for this guy. You know him from Camp Leapfrog. You know him from commentary. I believe I'm going to meet him in person for the first time on Saturday at TCW. Shameless Promo. Please welcome in from the Tornado Tag Podcast, our good friend, Mr. Anthony Blackwell Jr. Anthony,
what is
up,
going
man?
on, everybody? Firstly, I want to say real quick, Kimmy, as someone who has hosted 5 podcasts and has jumped on numerous others, I love the work ethic. You're an animal.
she's a
Thank
hustler.
you.
We're actually not doing a prediction show. We just want to compliment Kimmy.
No, like I said, it's one thing. I love everyone here. I love what all you do. Behind the scenes, I'm trying to formulate like a team of just wrestling podcasters from all over the country. And anyone who takes time out of their day to show support to this business and to this industry has this place in my heart, and it's awesome to see. So it's good to be part of a great company.
I love that, man. Very well said, man. And I love to see you kind of grow behind the scenes, behind the curtain, as I'm kind of doing here in the Northeast, man. It's really cool. I've made so many friends this year, man. And like I said, Anthony, I'm excited to meet you in person finally on Saturday. TCW, Devastation and Destruction, right before Father's Day. DAD, guys, check that out. Tickets are still available. Shameless Promo. But guys, let's get into this only 5-match card for Hell in a Cell. I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this booking going into it. Let's start with Rhea taking on Charlotte Flair again. Kimmy, how many thumbs down are we going to get? We'll throw it to you, goodest sister. We know this is going to be drawn out a little bit. Interested to see where you're going on this one.
I don't see Charlotte losing the gold here, especially because that would be highly 50-50 booking. I think with the involvement of Nikki Cross the past couple of weeks, I could see them maybe doing a triple threat in Money in the Bank. But it's something I've said on the show before. Raw definitely needs more women in their division just because, especially with all the releases going on, that we've seen the same matches since January. It's why Asuka's title reign wasn't as dominant as we all expected. So I'm going Ripley, and hopefully in August when that draft happens, we see some new women, some new faces, and definitely some better feuds.
Very well said. As always, good as sister. Anthony, I'll throw it to you. Your thoughts on this match, Rhea versus Charlotte.
I will say Rhea retains, but that's just my hope. I am a huge Charlotte fan. I think she's the best in the business. But we talked a little bit on our show that I hope when her contract comes up, she gets out of there because that company has nothing left to offer her. She has nothing left to prove in WWE. But I will say this. Charlotte Flair on a pay-per-view, you can never count it out. She could walk out of there with the title.
But she win like 16 in a row or something at one point.
I mean, she's getting real close. She's real close to that 16-time world champion too. I think she's like at 14.
What do you got, Kimmy? Kimmy, what you got?
So WWE just tweeted that Ray's going to challenge Roman tomorrow in Hell in a Cell.
They're calling an audible. This is why you're here. This is why she's the best. So wait, it was breaking up a little bit to hear what you said. Roman taking on Ray, not at the pay-per-view tomorrow night on SmackDown. They're gonna book
which means they're gonna be some type of stupid thing to make it happen at the pay-per-view again to get more repeat matches because we're living in Groundhog Day in WWE land.
I mean, you hit it right on the head. We'll get to that in just a second. Mike, I'll throw it to you. Your thoughts on Rhea taking on Charlotte for the Raw Women's Championship.
So this is actually the match that I'm most excited about on this pay-per-view. I'm actually glad that Anthony is on here with me because I feel like I'm on an island a lot of times when I stand for Charlotte. I get a lot of nasty looks. I agree. I think she's amazing. I don't know what more they can do with her at this point, but I also don't think that WWE doesn't seem to have a lot of faith or even a very good understanding of Rhea Ripley as a character. I feel like we've almost been in like this holding pattern with her where they're keeping her sort of as a tweener and she's got like the weird, like Karen evil mom hair one week and then she's back to slicking it. Like there's no consistency with her character. And I do think that she's going to drop the title soon. I don't think it's going to be tonight or I don't think it's going to be on Sunday. I think they're waiting to get her in front of a crowd again, because I think that's where she is most effective. People seem to really respond to her and gravitate toward her. So I think they're going to at least keep the title on her for another month or two. If she does drop it to Charlotte, I'm sure Charlotte will drop it back real quick. Maybe even to Nikki in a triple threat. I like that idea, but I think Rhea's going to hold out for this one.
Yeah, really good stuff. All great points. I'll piggyback on that a little bit. What you got, Anthony? Quick. Go for it, bro.
I just feel like WWE's at a point right now with all these releases and possible looming ideas of a possible selling off or getting where they need to be, which is all rumor and innuendo. But it seems like championship-wise, they're trying to stay where they're comfortable. And I think if they're doing that and they're keeping it where it needs to be, all these pay-per-views just seem like transitional pay-per-views. Like Hell in a Cell, to me, this is just like Great Balls of Fire. Like no one, I don't think not much is going to change. And if they are going to change, they're going to go where they're comfortable. So this match does have a lot in the air, more than others of who's going to go over. So this is the one I think because Charlotte's involved, you're like maybe. So it is the most intriguing so far on the card.
Very interesting and very well said. To piggyback that, like you said, this pay-per-view, like we've used the word holding pattern, we've used the word change. Kimmy used the term Groundhog Day. I think that's how we all feel going into this one. The fact that they're moving one of the main events, Roman Ray, back to SmackDown is very telling. I think they're kind of writing this as they go. Shocking. And I don't mean that as a cheap shot. It's just like it's been very all over the place lately. My thought is kind of like we're kind of keeping everything waiting into the rings until we have all the chess pieces in the right spot till we go on the road. So that's how I'm kind of basing a lot of my picks today. For that being said, I think this match, which we've seen ran back 2 WrestleManias ago, I think it was Charlotte Rhea for the first time. We're seeing it forever. I think it's going to be Groundhog's Day. I think it's going to be a holding pattern. This is going to be a DQ ending. This is going to be Rhea retains because of some foul play. They're going to stretch it out, maybe to Money in the Bank, to SummerSlam. Maybe Nikki Cross gets involved. It's not going to be a conclusive winner because the obvious choice for me would be for Charlotte to get that another, check that box to have another title win, to get, one step closer to 16 or whatever it is. I definitely see Charlotte getting the title at some point because how long can you drag this out? And we're going to find out how long they can drag it out, unfortunately.
Kimmy is furious right now. Look, she's sick to her stomach.
Well, let's
done with this. I want some new feud. I don't understand. Like Mania, right? That's what you're supposed to do. We're supposed to get new feuds. We've been the same garbage since January. Oh my God.
Just remember, this is the greatest women's division in the world. And if anyone who's a female wrestler wants to be somewhere, it's WWE, right?
Oh, of course. Thanks, Paul Levesque.
Dropping the Paul.
Shots fired.
That's right. Guys, and we call it like it is here, and that being said, let's take it to the other women in the Raw division because it's like, I talk about the chess pieces and how we're setting everything up moving forward for SummerSlam or being back on the road. More importantly, very interested to see what you guys thought about Alexa and Shayna Baszler's interaction. Obviously we did not see Shayna on Raw, correct me if I'm wrong, I watched the Hulu version on Raw this past week, so Alexa is going to take on Shayna, I believe. No? Oh, okay, you shook your head. No, Kimmy. I was like, all right, what did I do now? Did I get this wrong? But I think this is a very interesting dynamic. But like Kimmy keeps saying, when is Alexa really going to wrestle? Like she hit a couple spots on Monday, but again, this could be the cinematic. I know we keep saying that in this COVID era, but I could see a lot of supernatural, wacky, cinematic stuff going here. My theory is, and this is going to be way out there, hear me out, Shayna becomes Lily, and I will stick with my pick of Shayna and Lily becoming the Raw Tag Team Champions. Kimmy, I'm going to throw it to you because you love my pick so much. No one sees.
No, okay, that's what's wrong with this in so many ways. Because first of all, Shayna cannot be in this. Shayna should be in the Raw Women's Championship picture.
I agree.
Why they Nia and Shayna together in the first place was stupid. And I said on our WrestleMania panel, I was like, you know what they should do? They should split Nia and Shayna up, and the next night on Raw, a #1 contenders match. Just put them in the women's division like they need to be. But WWE just doesn't want to listen to me, even though I'm writing their show better than they can. And Alexa with the bumps. Are you talking about the spider crawl she did on Monday? Is that what you were talking about?
What did she do? She did a Twisted Bliss at one point. She only did a couple things.
She did a Twisted Bliss.
Yeah.
And
But yeah.
Spider crawl.
Oh, okay.
How crazy is it that at one point in time, Alexa Bliss was someone you couldn't keep the championship off of?
Yes.
And now she's so far removed.
She, I think still, if it's not still a record, she just lost it for most overall days as champion, like combined title days as champion.
Oh, wow.
And think about, she has that record and it's been how long since she's actually held the title?
Yeah.
First woman to be on SmackDown champ too.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But Kimmy, who do you have in this matchup?
I have Alexa with some garbage voodoo, even though they can't do it forever because they're going back on the road, and you can't do that stuff when you're on the road because then you're gonna have fans complain that they're looking at a monitor. We saw that at Raw 25. So Alexa, even though it should be Shayna.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm gonna say Alexa wins if there is a winner here. Again, I know I'm doing like the like cop outs on a lot of these picks, but this is going to be interesting because part of me almost think Alexa has been hurt in some form or fashion. She's really been on the back burner in terms of the in-ring action, but the storyline's been huge. A lot of the kids are really into Alexa right now. The thing that I find interesting with her was almost they kind of teased that internal struggle when she had that interaction with Nia, where she was like, I'm sorry. And like, she was kind of like, it was almost like she really was possessed. Like you saw more of that instead of her just acting out in this character. And I thought that could be really interesting, like to see little glimpses of the old Alexa Bliss kind of being like trapped or something like that. And like an old friend or something like that's kind of deep. I don't think they're going to go that way, but that was like the only thing that really intrigued me. That being said, this is going to be some sort of just mind game for Shayna. This is not going to be a wrestling match. This could be cinematic. This is the fire. This is some sort of transformation. This is Lily popping up. Maybe someone who's not been used yet, comes in as Lily. Like I'm not even joking. You can't be surprised anymore these days. Alexa is going to get the W if there even is a conclusive winner in this one. Let's throw it to Mike. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think we're definitely looking at maybe not a full-blown cinematic match, but very similar to her match with Randy Orton a little while ago.
Good call.
I think it's going to be very similar to that because this is their last opportunity to take advantage of it. And I think they're sort of wasting that opportunity if they don't. Like, are any of us really clamoring for a one-on-one match between Shayna and weird demon Alexa Bliss? Right now, I'm not. So give me some fun stuff. Like, if this is going to be wacky, weird horror movie kind of stuff, I say we take advantage of it before we hit the road. I think Alexa is going to get the win. I think it will be a definitive win. It's not going to necessarily end the story. I'd love to see a tease of the Fiend coming back. I don't expect him to fully come back, maybe not till SummerSlam, but we got to circle back to that at some point. We don't have to. It's WWE. We can just act like it never happened. But I assume at some point we're going to get closure on this. What does Alexa Bliss mean to the Fiend sort of thing? So I think she's going to get the win. It's going to be mainly tricks and camera cuts and all that fun stuff. But for this situation, I don't have a problem with it. I also, by the way, Kimmy too, why don't they break up Nia and Shayna? Because then there would be one tag team in the WWE women's tag team. So they need someone for them to face.
Speaking of former tag team champions, a weird plug. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, shockingly. Have you guys been listening to Off Her Chops? Because if you haven't, do it. It's fantastic. It's really, really good.
Shameless
Not
promo.
familiar.
I love it.
That's pretty much the Iconics podcast.
Oh, that one. No, I haven't yet. I heard really good things. That's right.
It's done really, really well. They talk a lot about their release. Well, not a lot about the release, but talk about the release. They talk about coming up together, talk about their tryout. Their recent episode, what you have known as it's Cassandra, but she was I'm terrible. Now I'm like learning their real names. I can't go.
Oh, Cassie is Peyton.
Yes, Peyton. So Peyton pretty much just came out and admitted to her friends and family and everyone in the podcast world that she was suffering from bulimia from a lot of her time. So when people were on the internet saying that she looked too skinny and and all this stuff, that's why it hit so hard to her in the locker room, is because, and no one really knew, not even Billie Kay. She didn't know until she said it on the podcast. And Billie Kay was also talking about weight issues where she was always too skinny and she was actually trying to gain weight so she can be her feminine cycle be more natural, because she actually lost it completely because of the stress of being on the road and being told she's the bigger out of the two. And just a lot of the stuff they went through, it was really, really tough. And they talked a lot about it on their podcast. That's just a weird segment. I'm sorry. But
no, that's
talking about
crazy.
The women's tag team division. I've always been a big fan of the Iconics.
I like them a lot, man. I don't know if any of you guys got to meet them, but they're super nice and their presence like very high energy. Like I was talking to them about what's like the really tall building in the Sears Tower or in Canada. They were like walking
the Toronto,
whatever the tower is there, but whatever, they were like walking around it on like, there's like, you can walk on this glass floor outside of it with like a bungee cord. And I was talking to them about that. They're like, oh, it's so scary. Don't you ever do it? Like they were just like fun, they were like on all the time. And that stinks to hear, like that they went through all that stuff, but they seem to be genuinely good souls. And
yeah, definitely check out the podcast. They're really, it's a really good podcast.
I'm in.
I think they're going to benefit greatly from being out of the WWE too. I think those are two where it was, I think both of them were a blessing in disguise for them to get cut.
Yeah. But back to Alexa Bliss and this nonsense. This is going to be my complete fantasy booking because none of this is going to happen because it's good. So obviously the only story with Alexa Bliss has to be the Fiend. Nope. You could put her with any female and no one cares because the way you set it up is she screwed Randy Orton, or she screwed the Fiend out of the Randy Orton match. So, and eventually if you want to sell merch, you got to do a little more with Alexa Bliss. And what better way to do it is a mask. So maybe in this match, something crazy happens where she gets some damage or she may be injured and she goes full Fiend mode. So we'll have Alexa Bliss mode and now a masked Alexa Bliss mode, where now, because you got to hit that register, mask.
Is she going to be like, is it going to be like when it was Crispy Fiend? Is she going to be all burned up? I don't
know if they'll go the full route of completely damaging her so she can't be Alexa Bliss, but I can definitely see a transformation coming at some point where she has to then wear something where she's Alexa and this other alter ego.
I could dig that.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm always a fan of like the mask characters and stuff like that. And it stinks that the Fiend has been so hot and cold. I mean, a lot of it has to do with him taking time off, and I respect the reasons and hope his mental health as well. But it makes it tricky. Alexa Bliss is pretty much carrying the torch of the Fiend, who she literally kind of destroyed. It's very confusing. That story needs to be completed in some form or fashion, but I like what you're saying about the mask.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Obviously you have Alexa winning or losing in some sort of
I mean, it should be Shayna, but it's gonna be Alexa somehow. But I also think too, with these whole releases coming, what better way to save some money than get rid of a guy like Bray Wyatt, who probably demands a lot of money, and then just move all those merch sales over to an Alexa Bliss.
I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm sure the Fiend's going to come back and be unstoppable, and then like go out and
He'll look unstoppable
and lose to Goldberg.
Yeah, he'll look unstoppable until pay-per-view rolls around, and then he'll get smashed.
That's it, man. It's just not consistent. We
Bray
saw him
Wyatt
come.
is the ultimate jobber. Like, I don't think people realize this. He loses all of the time, but he's so creative, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Because I'm like, he's like your best character person, and you make him lose.
Yeah. We'll go back to how you were saying you got to hang out with them. I had my first experience hanging out with a talent this week, and I've never ever experienced that, where I got to hang out with somebody I've watched on TV for a while. I got to sit with a former Wyatt family member last weekend. I was hanging out with Eric Rowan. I was actually his handler, like during an autograph meet and greet at a PPW show where I was making my commentary debut, which was terrifying, by the way. I don't know how you do it, but
I bet you
the whole time I was just like, don't curse. Don't curse.
There you go. Good start.
But he was really, really cool. One thing was said, which I thought was interesting. Someone looked at him and says, "Do you miss Bray?" And he flat out told the person no.
Really?
Yeah.
That
He
surprises me.
spoke very, very highly of Randy Orton. Spoke very, very highly of Luke Harper. Spoke very, very highly of a lot of people. But when asked, does he miss Bray? He quickly said no.
Well, that is a shock to me. Very, very interesting.
So, I don't want to, I'm not putting anything out there weird. It was just a weird answer. But then right at the table next to us, when our table got empty, he said, never sit at an empty table, kid. And we moved over. And then I was hanging out with the longest reigning NXT tag team champions, the Ascension, which are now the Awakening. So it was
that's a good day.
The whole time I'm just like, don't be a mark, don't be a mark, don't be a mark. And the whole time in my head, I'm like, ask him for a picture. And I didn't do it. I did not do it, but I'm kicking myself now.
No, dude, you had the experience, man. That's really cool. And thank you for that little tidbit BCP exclusive right there, man. No, but really, really interesting stuff, man. And that's great, man. And let's move on to the next match, guys. We can talk about Alexa and the Fiend all day long. I'm interested to see how it plays out, especially when live crowds come into the mix. It's like Jericho said, it's hard to tell what's going on when you don't have that instant feedback. So let's talk about let's just keep it going. Let's go with Bianca taking on Bayley, who have both been doing just some really great stuff. Kimmy, I'm sure you liked the Seth and Bayley segment. That was very interesting. That was a lot of fun. I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet here. I'm gonna go Bianca. I think it's too soon for her to lose anything. If Bayley won, she'd be very deserving, but been a big Bianca fan for a long time, since NXT. Another one we got to meet who's just been very, very sweet, and her moveset is insane. She's just going to show up and show out in every match. And she's going to carry this into some live events with some crowds. And that's what I'm excited for. I say Bianca Belair retains here after this very long buildup for this feud. We'll throw it to Mike.
Yeah. So I think Bayley's character work right now is the best that she's ever done. I think she's absolutely phenomenal. She carried a lot of the weight of the pandemic era on her shoulders. And it now seems like it's wrestling 101. She spent a long time at the top. Now she's doing the job and she's getting the next people over. I expect her to continue this path. I don't think we need to put the title back on her. I will say though, for Bianca Belair's character, they let her have attitude, but for the most part, I mean, she's really a white meat babyface. And I always think that the white meat babyface is better chasing the title than necessarily being the champion, getting it and then immediately getting screwed out of it and having to get it back up again. Dusty Rhodes style from the old Texas territory days, that kind of booking. I think Bayley's a great foil if we want to do that. And this would be a really interesting spot because I don't know what she's going to do after that, but it seems like we're sort of coming to the end of this story. And if we want to get any more mileage out of it, Bailey's got to win it here. I don't think she's going to. My prediction is Bianca, and they're going to get someone new for Bianca to face. But the only thing I don't like about Bianca Belair is how quickly she got to the top. I wanted to see that ascension, that arc play out a little bit longer because she's so fun to root for. And when I'm rooting for baby faces, I like to root from sort of like an underdog sort of perspective. And when she's the dominant champ, that is the EST of everything. It's kind of hard to be like, oh, get him, you scrappy little underdog. Like, she's killing it, So there needs to be a hiccup. It's not going to happen here, but I'm expecting her to get screwed out of her title and having to go on that journey again to get it back. So
I get that. Very well said, man. And my favorites are guys like Ray and Jeff Hardy and all that. So I totally get where you're coming from, like climbing that proverbial ladder. That's very interesting. And again, I like what they're doing with Bianca. That's great. But you bring up some really great points as well. Anthony, we'll throw it to you.
Bianca all day, EST. She belongs here. She goes here now.
Yeah.
And that title is staying on her until the man returns.
Oh, here for it.
What a better way to set up SummerSlam is you have Bianca versus the man. And who plays heel? Who knows?
Wow. Short and sweet and very, very powerful and well said. The applause from Kimmy says it all. Kimmy, what do you got?
So
We
I
should be
found
bookers,
out.
Kimmy, because they don't know what they're doing over there.
Oh, of course. So I found out the reason I keep cutting in and out is because there's people outside working on the Wi-Fi in my development. So thank you guys for interrupting my podcast.
Get them in a
Y'all-
chair.
how
I
inconsiderate
want
of them.
I know, right? So rude. I'm making such great points. Anyway, so from one role model to another,
Nice.
it has to be Bianca just because it would be way too short just to cut her title reign. I do see the man coming back July 16th at that SmackDown when crowds return, because what's a better return than that? I echo what Anthony said too, because Bailey was the top person in the pandemic, literally. And now she's just doing the job like a good person. So Bianca, but I am shocked that this match does not have a stipulation because the rumor was hair versus hair. Don't know where that
would
went.
have been fun.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe tomorrow on SmackDown, or I don't know when you're airing this. SmackDown, maybe they announce that. But I think my other thing is too, SmackDown has no woman either. Who are you putting against Bianca next? Carmella? She's the only one
Probably.
you got left.
She's great at character work, though. I love I'm a big Carmella fan.
As a Staten Island person, I think I need to be a Carmella fan, but she's not really from Staten Island.
No, she's definitely
Oh.
not. Yeah, Enzo outed her for that.
Wow. Well, she's still FABULOUS. That's all I know. But that hair versus hair, that's a great point. I think that would be, between those two particular personas, make so much sense on both levels. And imagine that scene of Bailey getting her head shaved. She would own that. Like, that would be amazing. She would make that work. The things going on with her hair changes and people calling her Karen earlier on. And obviously Bianca, you got with, the whip and all that. That would be very, very interesting. Good stuff as always, Kimmy.
I think Bailey would look great bald too.
I think she
I don't want to
rock it.
dismiss Bailey, because I know I just pretty much said, EST all day long, but Bailey is one of my favorite people out of the four horsewomen. She's my absolute favorite. I think she's criminally underrated. And I think, just how you were saying, I don't think she got as much credit as she should have during the pandemic. And her baby face to heel turn was absolutely fantastic. And she just did a phenomenal job. I love Bailey, but she had it for almost a year. Now it's new people. It's new blood time.
You guys actually got me more hyped for this match than I was. I'm excited for this one. Let's see if they go that hair versus hair route. Very, very interesting. Let's talk about this, because apparently it's going to be tomorrow night as of this recording for SmackDown. Ray taking on Roman Reigns. The booking on this one, I was okay with it. Like, I like it when Ray gets jumped in these main event pictures. It makes for some great moments. Ray's obviously my guy, very biased here. This is why I got into the business. He's always been my favorite, the ultimate underdog. And I always go back, I say this on the pod all the time, but that spot when him and Dominic did the double 619 on Brock Lesnar, the double frog splash, the crowd is going bonkers. I don't remember hearing the crowd that hot in a very long time. People think, is he going to do it? Are they going to do it? The father and son moment, it was great. So to see Ray in this scenario again, and in Hell in a Cell, I think this is Ray's first Hell in a Cell, correct me if I'm wrong. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think Ray's going to surprise a lot of people. And it's although it changes everything now that it's on SmackDown. There's no way Roman loses this one. I'd make it my lock of the night, but Kimmy's going to yell at me. So I'm just going to say no way. There's no way Roman loses this one. And Ray's my guy. Kimmy, go ahead.
You have to pick your lock of the night for a match that
I'm 2 for
isn't
2.
obvious.
The stats don't lie.
Your first lock of the night was Britt winning the title.
That's fair.
Okay. The second one
That's a good lock.
The second one was, I believe, Raquel retaining against Ember.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that. 2
Well,
for 2.
I'm an Ember Moon mark.
Yeah,
But take
Love
a
him.
risk.
That's fair. You're not wrong. 2 for 2.
The risk is not with Roman Reigns. He's not losing for the foreseeable future.
Correct.
So now that this is on SmackDown, this is obviously going to be repeated at Hell in a Cell. They put this on SmackDown for ratings. What is going to happen is the Usos are going to get involved somehow. Don't know how. Maybe Ray is getting it back. But Dominic, that's what they could do. Because tag titles. No, you know what? That's what they're going to do. They're going to do the Usos versus Dominic and Ray in Hell in a Cell.
On Sunday.
And then on Sunday, and that's when the Usos are going to win. And then Reigns isn't going to defend his title because he's going to be like Adam Pearce. I defended my title in a Hell in a Cell. I don't have to defend it on the pay-per-view. That's what's going to happen. The Usos are going to turn against Reigns, be faces, and that's how the show is going to end. And Reigns is going to be in the Hell in a Cell. Why did you do that? To go long-term story booking to last year when Reigns beat Jay and Jimmy couldn't believe what happened. And that's really good booking, and that's not going to happen.
Wow. Very interesting. Well, either way, I'm sure you have Roman winning, however it plays out.
I do. It's Roman winning, but that should happen on Sunday.
Very good stuff as always, Kimmy. Very well thought out. Even bringing the ratings into play, which is a really fair point, being that they changed it, less than 24 hours before the show. Very interesting. Kind of shows where they're at with long-term planning right now. It's very interesting. Anthony.
You can put Roman Reigns in there against Jesus Christ himself, and he's not losing this match.
Not clean.
And if you thought passing the Christ is bad, put him in near Roman Reigns. It'll be as worse. You could put the entire locker room against Roman Reigns right now. He's not dropping that strap. So if there's ever was a lock, it's Roman Reigns all day long. But interesting news coming out and the little behind the scenes things. A lot of little tidbits of Roman saying, John Cena said he wants to come back, and if he wants to come back, he doesn't want no parts of this. What better way to put Roman over as this giant megastar by him beating The Undertaker, him coming back and beating a John Cena, and then another man stepping up to the plate whenever his movie deals are done, the actual head of the table, The Rock, eventually coming back at some point. But I will say this, I think if any of those legends come back, Roman beats all of them.
That's some good long-term booking. I love it. I have seen a lot of Cena Roman things lately on Instagram. They were going back to those old promos where Cena really kind of buried him. It's called a promo kid, that whole thing. I've been seeing a lot of that. So that makes a lot of sense, even though you usually can't see him. But that makes a lot of sense coming into SummerSlam. That's going to be great. And then the rumors for The Rock to come in for Survivor Series, that being whatever anniversary of The Rock's debut, or is that what it was?
Yeah, it's a win-win for whoever it is, because if you have Roman stretch us out till even next Mania, and he's just conquering everybody. He's conquered the Dead Man. He's conquered Brock. He's conquered John Cena. He's conquered The Rock. Whoever that next man up is an instant superstar.
Made.
Yeah, it literally writes itself. You could drag out that Rock and Roman interaction. I mean, it writes itself. You're going around here saying you're the head of the table. The only
problem is that next man up will probably be like a Dominic Mysterio. It'd be such a waste. I know Ray's your guy, but Dominic, I don't ever see him with the world championship.
Never say never. Mike, your thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm pretty much echoing what everybody said. Obviously, this is Roman Reigns, but what the storyline that nobody's talking about that we need to be talking about is when is Dominic going to turn on his father and eventually retire him? I think this is I think this is the long. I'm talking 6 months down the road, but you got to start planting seeds. I want to see Ray get beaten to within an inch of his life, and Dominic's not able to help it, because I love Ray. Don't get me wrong. It's because we got to build. We need to remember why we have such sympathy and such love for Rey Mysterio. And Dominic's not going to be able to help, but what Dominic is going to see, and it's going to continue in their matches to follow, is Dominic has to carry this team. Dominic spent his entire life idolizing his dad. Well, his dad is on the down part of his career. Dominic's on the way up. Eventually, Dominic is going to realize, I'm carrying this dead man, this old man's dead weight on my back, and I have to carry him match after match to keep these titles on. Eventually, that's going to become too much of a load to bear. Dominic's going to get upset by it, and he's going to realize, you can't win a match if I'm not there to help you. And I want Rey to lose more singles matches and do all that stuff. But I think it's the seeds of this story start here with Rey just looking borderline pitiful. And maybe at the very end, Dominic gets one good shot in on Roman Reigns or something, just to show that he's still there and he's still with his dad and he's got the fight and he's got that hunger in him. But this is the beginning of the end of Rey Mysterio's time in the ring. And it's going to be an amazing heel turn. I don't give a crap about Dominic right now, but if he turns on his dad and this is my fantasy booking. If it goes that way, I don't buy WWE shirts, and I will buy a Dominic Mysterio shirt if he like swings a chair at his dad's head. That's what I want.
We are talking about the same guy who lost an eyeball on a pay-per-view.
There
there's
is.
not much more they can do with Rey Mysterio when it comes to beating him up to his inch of his life.
Rollins alone.
Seth
Here's a
got
quick-
that eye.
Yeah.
Seth got that eye.
Here's a crazy thing too. What if the Mysterios go over on the Usos and they're no longer worthy of the tribal chief, and all these open doors swinging in around, the Tonga show up and they're the new bodyguards of Roman. I mean, that's just fantasy booking. It would be amazing. It'd replace the Usos with the Tongas and that you have a little bit of Samoan rivalry there. But something to think about.
I like that. We got to do something. We can't talk about Hell in a Cell for 2 hours.
Yeah. You guys are covering all the bases, though. That's very, very well said. In my mind, Dominic would eventually have the mask bestowed upon him like Ray's uncle and that whole kind of thing. But that makes a lot of sense, what you're saying, too, to kind of go the opposite direction. So that's very interesting to see how
But
it
they
would
can
play
also
out.
kind of do that, like the Hall of Fame. Like if Dominic, like just say this happens like WrestleMania 38, WrestleMania 39 weekend in California, which would make sense if this happens and Ray gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. Dominic inducting his dad, and then within the speech, him giving the mask.
I would cry. I would legit cry. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah,
There would be
I think that's
tears.
the better way to go. Well, the only thing is we're giving WWE too much credit for good booking. So
I sit
Also
on this
true.
podcast and do this for free.
yeah.
I mean,
Come on.
I'll give them this, like between Raw Underground and a lot of the crazy shenanigans that have gone on during this COVID era, they did kind of throw things at the wall and saw what stick. I'll give them that. This was the time to do that. And a lot of it failed. I remember talking about Raw Underground on the podcast. I'm like, guys, next month we are not going to be talking about this. And sure enough, poof, gone.
Real quick, besides the Roman storyline, what on TV is honestly sticking for any of you that you're like, I can't wait to tune in next week on the main roster product?
My first thought was Roman.
Besides Roman,
NXT. I enjoy
Rollins.
NXT.
Can I just say Rollins?
sure.
Okay.
I mean, Rollins is entertaining, but there's not much on either Raw or SmackDown you're like excited for.
Yeah.
I
A
have
lot
nothing to add.
of people are into the Alexa Bliss stuff, but it's just not thought out. It's not
And
full
there's-
circle yet.
There's not enough payoffs on it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's the word,
You
yeah.
build, and there's no payoff. By the way, has it even been established? Was she controlling the fire with Reginald? Like, what the hell happened with that?
Well, there's been no payoff with the Fiend for 4 years. Or
That's
5
what I'm
years,
saying.
So
Ding, 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 ding.
it's hard to invest yourself in Alexa Bliss. Yeah. The only person on TV I get excited for is Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, but you're just like they're all, like I'm more or less like excited for them to get their contracts up so they can go somewhere where they're used properly.
Yeah, I mean, you guys aren't wrong on a lot of these things. It's interesting. I think once they get back in front of the fans, and I'm not making excuses or anything like that, hopefully there'll be some feedback. Hopefully they'll change things a little bit, and they will be able to see how the crowd reacts to certain things. So this will be very interesting. Again, I'm most excited for the crowds to come back. But let's talk about. Oh, go ahead. Al.
Real
I would attest to that sentiment, but you're also talking about the same guy. You have to realize they're writing for one in WWE. All the writers are writing to appease Vince, and if Vince doesn't like what he sees, even if the crowd,
I chose my words carefully. Yeah.
even if the crowd goes absolutely crazy, like they did for a Rusev Day, Vince, he'll hit the curtain and he'll tell them exactly what he told them. They're just messing with you. They don't really like you.
That's sad.
It's all that. The craziest thing about WWE, and I love WWE. I'm someone who refused to watch the ECW, who refused to watch WCW, who refused to watch all wrestling because I was a WWE loyalist.
Oh wow.
That now that I've kind of broken away from that and came back to wrestling, and I love the independents, love everything else. WWE's at this point now where the only reason I'm really there is I love their roster. But as a company, it's hard to really support them. It truly, truly is.
It's been tough. You're not wrong. A lot of people we talk to, a lot of people we have on the show. Hey, I don't really watch Raw, but I tried to catch up real quick for the like. I get it. You know what I mean? It's been tough, man. And peaks and valleys. We'll see what happens moving forward. I'm trying to stay positive. At least I'll say this. At least we had wrestling all through this pandemic in some form or fashion. And it's great to see the opportunity. It stinks all these people that got let go, but it's great to see a lot of our friends that have been on the show the past 2 years get those opportunities on AEW Dark, get signed to AEW, get signed to NXT, man. Yeah, man. I don't know when it airs online, but wait till you. I literally just seen the greatest independent wrestling match of my life, and it involved Casey Navarro last weekend. That's you damn right it did. That's my
Casey
guy.
Navarro versus Davey Richards.
Really? Are we allowed to say that match happened? Okay.
It happened. PPW films later, but they literally want you in the arena that day. By the time the end of the match is over, Casey Navarro's eye is swollen shut. The referee's bleeding from his head, and they absolutely killed each other. It was when that airs, PPW, Casey Navarro versus Davey Richards.
That's my guy.
I don't know what I said during commentary because I was completely involved with what was going on in that ring. It was a masterpiece and hands down the best match I've ever seen in the independent scene.
Wow, clipping that. Casey's our guy. I mean, he's been there for me on a personal level during some tough times. He wore a shirt to the ring. He's a good kid, man. He's going to go very far. And I got to get down to PPW, man. I see they got some great stuff going on, man. So
yeah,
good job out of you, man. That's amazing. So shout to Casey.
Yeah, wait till you guys see that match. It's unbelievable.
I'm here for it.
And David Richards is no joke.
Yeah. Oh,
Brian on our podcast was saying the Wrestler Observer has in the past 17 years gave their list of like the best wrestlers in the world, and everyone who you would imagine be on that list is on it. Like your every Japan guys, Kenny Omega, AJ Styles, and David Richards was on that list in the past 17 years. And and also at PPW, Casey Navarro has beaten now Davey Richards and has beaten Rich Swann, which is your world champion at Impact. So he's getting a lot of names under his belt.
Yeah, man. It's just like I always say with him, it's not a matter of if, just a matter of when and where. And he's been doing some great stuff with Tasha as well. But let's move on to what I assume actually will be our main event, because I guess Roman Reigns happening on Friday. So let's talk about. I'm sure there'll be some opinions here. Bobby Lashley, the WWE champion, taking on Drew McIntyre. If Drew loses, he cannot challenge Lashley for the championship. Very interested to see where you guys are going with this, Mike. What do you got on this?
Yeah. So real quick, not to do too much backpedaling. I just want to say, though, I agree with you. And I want to echo your point of I don't care how much stuff they tried during the pandemic era and failed. I'm glad that they tried. And that if there ever was a time to just try every crazy thought that you've ever thought of, this was the time to do it. So I don't fault them for anything that was bad that failed, because I'd rather them try something new and it sucks than us living in Groundhog Day like we're currently living in. So that's all. As far as Drew and Bobby goes, I think this has got to be Bobby. Stick with that. Same thing with Bailey. Drew carried the men's division, at least for Raw, through the majority of the. He's another one that's one of the few MVPs of that era. And I think Drew needs a break for himself, for us as fans, for his character. Like, you just give the man some time off. And that's not me insulting him. That's like my boyfriend, Devin, that's his favorite wrestler. We love Drew, but for the love of God, let the man take a vacation and relax and recoup. Yeah. Bobby's fine as champ, I guess. I don't dislike him. I don't seem to get as hyped as everyone else does. But it's going to be a good match. All their matches have been good. They've been really physical and high impact. Both these guys they're stiff. They'll throw stiff punches, and I like it. Sheamus is another one that's like that. Yeah. I just like watching him just work in the ring. So I'm fine with it, but I think this is sort of, we close this chapter on Drew, let him recover, let him come back to a big pop, and let his character get a resurgence. But for right now, we need to kind of put him on ice, I think.
Yeah, very, very well said, man. I like that you look at it from like all perspectives and you take a lot of the emotion into a lot of your picks. I like that, man. What do you think, Kimmy? Should we have these guys back? Yeah,
Yes.
oh, that's a yes. Kimmy approve. You guys are killing it.
I have
Go
a
ahead, Anthony.
piggyback off what he just said.
Please, bro.
I agree. I think Bobby Lashley wins this, and Drew McIntyre is an animal, and he deserves time off. And I think it'd be a great way to kind of look like he's sailing off in the sunset. Because one thing that WWE needs right now more than ever is a swap, and it needs a new draft. And what better way to get Drew McIntyre back in the limelight somewhere else is the first pick of Fox on SmackDown is Drew McIntyre, and he goes to a completely different roster and goes for a completely different title at some point and gets a complete reboot because he's done it. He's done what he needed to do on Raw, and it's time to move around.
So I'm going to go the other way, the unpopular pick here, but I thought
out of your mind.
I think Lashley, I mean, I've been wrong on Drew this whole time. So I'll stay consistently wrong. Lashley retaining at Mania, I thought was really good booking. It made him look strong. I like that Lashley got the title. But yeah, they've rerun this match way too many times. And the fact that if Drew loses, he can't get it again. I'm going to say they actually don't go that route. I say, again, we're setting up the chess pieces for the live events, the live crowds coming back very soon. I know I've been saying this forever, but Drew comes out with the title in front of the crowd. And the reason I'll go that way is because Roman on the other show, I don't think Drew's going to be on the same show as Roman. Roman's going to be the heel. Kimmy's just shaking her head at me. If I had a nickel for every time this happened. Roman is the big heel on the other show. Drew comes out with the WWE Championship on Raw side of things. So again, he'll get that big pop finally that I've been saying over and over again. Also, they're super telegraphing that Austin Creed Xavier Woods is going to join the Hurt Business. Kimmy, what do you got?
Okay, so I drew this picture for you.
Oh,
It's
no.
gonna show up backwards, and it says Drew must lose with an exclamation point.
Go ahead, Kimmy.
Here's the problem. If Drew wins, it doesn't go the other way. Bobby can still challenge Drew. We're back to square one, and we're going to have this match again. So, no, that's not going to happen.
Well,
So-
remember my fantasy booking where we said Roman Reigns conquers everyone and who's the guy to do it? Boy,
Yeah.
that Claymore kick looks real nice on Roman Reigns when that draft happens.
Exactly. So this is what needs to happen. Drew's going to lose. Thank God. He's going to go bye-bye. Then in August or whatever, when they have this draft, I don't know why it's in August. They should literally just do it in July.
I wouldn't even
If
draft him. I would say he goes undrafted and he just shows up on SmackDown.
That works too.
Bigger
I like
pop.
that. I like that instead. So that's what's going to happen. And then Kofi Kingston, because, he's been talking to MVP. MVP's been getting in his face a little bit. That's the matchup that's going to happen at the Money in the Bank. And then Xavier Woods and Kofi are going to part ways. And Xavier Woods is going to go on to win the King of the Ring. Because on Twitter this morning, he declared himself as a participant in the King of the Ring tournament. That has yet to be announced, but is probably going to be announced.
Can that be a pay-per-view again? That's my favorite pay-per-view. And
It was so fun.
Why not?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And real quick, how you were saying about Drew as your partner's favorite. My wife does not watch professional wrestling, but when Drew comes on TV, it's out of control. I have to I have to spray her with a hose. I have to tell her to calm. Her example of Drew McIntyre is the character of like a book you would read, like when the guy comes down with the long hair and the chest and the hair and the chest,
The Fabio look.
and he steps off the horse he rode in on. Like that's she envisions a Drew McIntyre.
If I'm watching Raw and Devin's in the other room and those bagpipes hit, he will knock over furniture to get in front of.
And then I
So-
show her a photo of old Drew McIntyre with no
We-
facial hair. She
we
goes,
call-
you ruined everything.
We call him Baby Drew, and he doesn't like
Baby
Baby Drew. He hasn't evolved to his final form yet. So,
Dude, he evolved like a Charizard.
Yeah. Heck yeah, he did. And also we didn't bring this up. I like the kind of Viking Raiders. I want to say War Raiders so bad, but I like them kind of teaming up with Drew and all that. I thought that was a really cool pairing, and I think we're going to see more of that moving forward. So,
Well, they're the number one contenders for AJ and Omos. That's why that happened. It wasn't some random thing.
no, yeah, but
It
just
fits,
like
though.
the pairing of them, though, it made
Oh,
right,
yeah,
it made
that's
Yeah.
sense.
it.
yeah.
But it wasn't WWE's random. Here's a tag team.
Yeah.
Let's throw 'em in.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And again, we might have a title match. It'll be interesting to see what they add in the next couple days because obviously they just pulled the Ray Roman match to
I know
SmackDown.
what they're gonna add.
Go for it.
They're gonna add Seth Rollins versus Cesaro in the Hell in a Cell match. I'll tell it right.
We're gonna have 3 Hell in a Cells then.
They usually have 3.
I think the whole card should be Hell in a Cell. If it's a Hell in a Cell card,
Yeah,
everyone
go
fights
for it.
This whole
Exactly.
You're gonna theme a pay-per-view.
I probably should have said this at the beginning, but I hate that this is like Hell in a Cell should happen like once every 5 years to me. This should not be like, why was Ray and Roman in what blood feud needs to get paid off in a Hell in a Cell? It's like you're having it for the sake of having it, and I think it waters down the whole thing.
Totally agree. When you had a Hell in a Cell end in a DQ when there's no DQs, they needed to take a.
We don't talk about that. We do not talk. I don't know.
You're right, though. You're right.
They needed to take a break from Hell in a Cell. And by the way, speaking of Hell in a Cell, the guy who was in the first Hell in a Cell, I really dig that hat over your left shoulder.
Thank you. Yes. There's the hat. And then I don't know if you can see it, but I stood in line at a Super Kmart in 1996.
I see the Rockers poster. The Rockers.
That is an autograph Shawn Michaels thing. This first wrestler I ever met.
I never met him. My wife met him. I didn't meet him. She met him at a horror convention, and I wasn't able to go. And she met my childhood hero, and I never met him. But I'm going to meet Marty in a couple months.
Good luck. Don't give him any money.
He's going to be at a con that I'm actually going to. So our podcast will be part of a con, and Marty's going to be there as well.
I hope he's in good form.
Yeah. From what he's saying, he's sober, which is cool.
Awesome.
Good for him.
Awesome.
But there's 2 guys at that con I always say I wanted to have a beer with, and both of them are now sober, so I definitely won't tempt them.
You can have a non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah, Marty and Sandman are both at this con, and I was like, man, if I was ever going to drink with a wrestler, they would be it.
Root beers. There you go.
Yeah, I don't do drugs, but if I was hanging out with Marty and he offered, it'd be hard to turn him down.
Oh boy. But guys, obviously yeah, stay away from them. Guys, obviously, thank you so much for making a few minutes for this. I don't want to say underwhelming, but we're calling a Groundhog's Day pay-per-view, I think, and hopefully it looks like they're going to make some last minute changes. So we'll see what goes on. Can I pitch one thing to you guys that's not Hell in a Cell related that just broke maybe sometime this week? How about MLW coming back and going to go in a 2300 arena and also possibly getting a TV deal with Vice? So MLW will be like on television now. Good for them. And
I thought the Vice deal is finalized, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they're on. Yeah, they're on.
I actually MLW moving up into like another tier where we're actually going to see it on TV. It'll be easier to see MLW than it will be to see Impact because nobody has access to the Access channel.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And if they're running buildings like the 2300 arena and they have that huge crowd pop, MLW can gain some traction.
That's smart.
On one of my recent podcasts, I talked about with all the most recent cuts where I thought people would be best served going after this. And I thought that both Aleister Black and Buddy would do very well in a place like MLW where they could jump immediately to the top and elevate the brand, like give the brand some prestige, as well as giving them the opportunity to shine in that main event spot. I thought that would be a fun thing.
Aleister Black would be a great leader.
Let's
take it.
Oh my God, I had Preston just pulled out of PPW.
I was so sad. I was thinking about making the trip.
Yeah, he's gonna be back though. I just got my pro wrestling crate had the Dark Order mask. I was gonna get him to sign it. But he'll be back soon. But Victoria is taking his place.
She's awesome. That's cool. But yeah, I definitely want to meet him one day. He's very cool. Monster Factory guy too. I think. And
Titan, if you're listening, Johnny Moran wins or we riot. That's all there is to it.
It's my guy. Love John. I'm so excited to meet you guys. Of course, shameless promo, Titan Championship Wrestling this Saturday in Toms River, New Jersey. Get your tickets now. Take your dad for Father's Day weekend. It's going to be great. Let's get the shameless promo all around. Anthony, we'll start with you. Tell us about your great podcast, some of the other great stuff you're doing where everyone can follow you.
The Tornado Tag Podcast, doing about 3 years now, really growing. I would say there's a lot of, sometimes we do the same thing you guys are doing. We do the reviews. And if you want to play along with us, which I encourage all you guys to do, head over to digital.prowrestlingscorecards.com. It's kind of like a pick'em sheet where it's like, who do you think's going to win? How much time you think in the match? And they have all these really fun stipulations. And the cool thing they just added, if you play digitally, is you can join a faction. There's only 2 podcasts on that faction, and it's Tornado Tag Podcast and Putting You Over Podcast. We're the only 2. So you can join our faction and you can participate along with us. And it's all digital. You can do it straight from your phone. And each card, so if you participate with NXT, WWE, AEW, everything else, you become the champion and you get a little reigning times champion thing. It's a lot of fun. Head over to digital.pro-wrestling scorecards, play along. We'll be playing along this pay-per-view. But yeah, our podcast, we do a lot of history stuff. We don't do a lot of weekly reviews. We talk a lot about the independents. Last episode, we just talked about Pat Patterson and Jim Barnett, which were the two first openly gay people in professional wrestling that, were brave enough to do so. So we did a little bit of Pride Month there. And then this tomorrow, where are we at? Yeah, tomorrow, 9:00, Johnny Moran will be on as a guest. So we're back to weekly episodes. So one week will be like a topic base, and the following will be a guest interview. And I'll give you guys a quick exclusive. I've kind of put it on social media as a teaser, but we will be part of the Legends of Hamburg Fieldhouse Legends Con that's going on. And we were invited the night before the con to do a live podcast inside the Hamburg Fieldhouse. So first time ever hearing it. The night before the con, we will be inside the venue with the ring as the backdrop, the Outbreak Wrestling ring, doing our podcast about the history of the Legend of Hamburg Fieldhouse. So check us out, Tornado Tag Podcast. Thank you so much. Keep following this dude. He works his butt off. All these great podcasters, support them because our whole goal is to put over the talent and talk about what we love talking about. And let's keep that rolling.
My man, thank you, Anthony. And you'll definitely be back, man, killing it. And another guy who'll definitely be back, Mr. Mike Mueller, who sent me legit stats for his picks, like going down the list. And I'm like, this is my guy. Yeah, Kimmy, I thought you'd like that. Mike, tell us about your show. What else you got going on?
I believe in accountability, and I believe in knowing if
I'm glad someone does.
Do you actually know what you're talking about, or do you just think you do? By the way, I know what I'm talking about 68% of the time, so it's not that great.
Same.
But
Fake it till you make it, baby.
That's
my
right.
whole wrestling career.
Till you make it.
Can you do audio? Sure.
Yeah, sure. Done it my whole life. I'll figure it out. Push this button, right?
My whole leapfrog career. Do you know how to edit matches? All right.
Sure. Figure it out. Yeah, we're all learning as we go. Closet Champion podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, any place you can get podcasts. Facebook and Twitter at Closet Champ. It's kind of a little bit of a hodgepodge of everything. I do most. There it is. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I don't have any swag for my own stuff, but I try to do prediction podcasts. I like to do a lot of top 10 lists.
Be like me. Subscribe.
I'm doing it too. I'm going to hit subscribe.
All right. Yeah. Hit that subscribe button. Get my numbers up. But yeah, top 10 lists, prediction episodes, State of Wrestling. I did a whole redrafting the whole last brand split draft. A couple of my buddies got together. We did it like a 3-person split. Ooh. We'll do that. I did a deep dive into Shawn Michaels' career with a buddy of mine who I will say is the only person that I know that will put your collection to shame, Rob. That guy, like that wall looks like nothing compared to this one guy. And he's got a whole wall that's just Shawn Michaels. This is nothing. So we did a 3-part, like a 3-hour deep dive into his entire career. We do a little bit of everything. And I'm always looking for new guests and new opportunities. So this was an awesome experience. Thank you so much. Echoing what Anthony said, Rob and Kimmy, I think have two of the best work ethics in the business. You guys hustle. I can't believe the amount of content you put out. It's insane. I don't do anything with my life, and I'm not putting out stuff nearly at the rate that you guys are. So mad props to you. Thank you so much. This is like so awesome. I'm so honored to be here.
Dude, no, I'm glad this finally happened. It was long overdue, and it'll definitely happen again. Hell of a debut from both of you. But let's get to that Kimmy laundry list real quick. What's RTP promotions got coming up? Because I know you got to get the signings in.
I feel like she's like the list of Jericho when he.
It's seriously armbar.
I feel so bad because the last podcast we did, he started with me, and I was like, "Why would you start with me? I'm going to sit here for hours." But I'm glad you said RDP first because I forgot them the last time. So next Friday, pre-sales have started. Vanessa Bourne. I get to chill with her. So make sure to head to East Coast Autograph Auctions on Facebook to get your pre-sales in for that. And then the next day at the Wrestling Universe store and a virtual meet and greet as well. Former WWE Divas Champion Eve Torres. What a fun weekend I'm going to have. And then also we got Velvet Sky coming up, Anna J.
Dave.
Probably missing some other people, but that's okay. That's later in July. Now, for me, hi. We're going to be here a while. I'm sorry. So, Instagram. Stop. I'll say armbar every now and then too.
Nice.
So Instagram, Kimmy Talks Wrestling. Twitter, Kimmy_Sokol. Armbar.
Nice.
Internship with the openmat.com. I'm talking high school, amateur, Olympic, because the Olympic trials have been this week, guys, not for wrestling, but for other sports. I believe the preview for my own college's wrestling season is going to come out tomorrow, so check out that. Armbar, Wrestling with Questions. I'm working with Ring of Honor and Maria Kanellis exclusively as I sat down this afternoon with Amy Rose, so check out that interview, and more interviews are to come. Armbar, I'm already forgetting things. No Holds Barred Network. I do Raw, NXT, AEW, SmackDown, and Impact reviews. So check it out there. And also they're on Spotify and all that good stuff too. Apple Podcasts. Leave them a rating. Armbar, thepopbreak.com. I wrote out my interview with Amy Rose. If you don't want to watch the interview, I wrote an article for the Friends reunion where I think the recently released superstars are going, and there's more content coming out there. And I think I have everything, so I'll say Armbar at the end.
I loved your Friends
we're
reunion
not
right up, by the way.
Aw,
Thank you.
Yes.
I still need to
Yeah.
watch that.
You're I never watched Friends. I probably never will. But
It's too late
Listen.
at this point.
listen, The Office or die for me.
It's good.
I love The Office.
Can't go wrong with The Office, except for the later seasons. But the finale was solid.
I live like 30, 40 minutes from where The Office was supposed to take place.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, that's why you're close with Johnny and all them guys. I got you now. Yeah, that area.
Yeah. Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
Where are you guys? Are you all Jersey? Where are you from?
I'm
No,
Staten
we're all
Island.
over.
I'm Detroit Rock City, baby.
Oh,
Are you
boy.
really?
Yeah.
Nice,
Yep.
man. I went to Mania there.
Oh, that's
Three.
there was like a 6-year stretch where I wasn't watching wrestling, and that's when everything came to Michigan. That's when the Royal Rumble came and Orton won. That's when WrestleMania came, and I didn't see any of it.
Well, I do
That's
got one more quick thing, and this is more or less just
Please.
like a call to action if you guys all want to hang out and do some stuff. I know you already kind of pitched this to you, but this great company, if you're not already subscribed, Independent Wrestling Television, which is a great place to watch the independents grow and thrive, is having their 100 show on 8/8, and it's going to be a double shot. It's going to be the IWTV 100, as well as Abby Jane's birthday party, 21st birthday. So it's going to be a little leapfrog and IWTV, and they already announced in action, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy teaming up with his best friend, both former IWTV champions, Chris Statlander, in action. So
Here
it
for
is-
that.
It is in Jersey. So I'd love to
We'll
come
talk.
meet my Jersey people.
We will talk, bro. Here for that. Chris, one of the most fun interviews we ever did. She turned every question upside down and on its head, and she totally messed with me the whole time, and it was great.
The best way to go about it.
As a
Here for
pro.
that. Yeah, we'll talk after this. But guys, thank you for making a few minutes. And guys, like we always say here on the BCP, everyone stay safe, stay positive, take care of each other. We're out. Peace.